and thanks for watching. We're in the TMC newsroom today. My name is Rich Tehrani. On our program today is Thomas Howe, who is a foremost authority, or the foremost authority, on cloud communications and voice mashups. And we're thankful to have him on the show. Thomas, thanks for being here.
Good to be here. Thank you.
So I know your company, Lightning Electric, and that. What's the URL for your company, by the way?
Lightandelectric.com.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows it.
Yep.
And maybe they can take a moment to even get to it on a separate web browser while we're talking, and
Sure
then they can look to see some of the really interesting things you're doing. We're seeing a move to the cloud for technology, just about any technology that can move to the cloud, such as storage, computing, web hosting. I mean, it's obviously been a trend going on for over a decade now. Communications is one of the pieces of the outsourced puzzle or the hosted puzzle, and it's moving there also. And with that comes the need for education. People need to know, what is this trend? How do they take advantage of it? How do they move to the cloud correctly with their communications? And your company is doing a few things to assist, and I think we should let them know what those things are.
Oh, sure thing. Okay, so Light and Electric is a company that has two sides of its business. The first side of our business is that we're real-world practitioners. We write software, we develop services for our enterprise and carrier customers, so we work on that. But the other half of our business is we talk about it, and this is part of our training. By doing training, by doing education, we actually do a better job at our first side because we think more about what we ought to be doing. So we've got a couple of efforts that we're partnering with TMC around, and the first is we have the Cloud Communications Summit that we hosted last January.
Right, in Miami.
In Miami, that we're doing again in Los Angeles on October 4th to 6th.
That's right.
And for our first session, what we asked all of our speakers to do was to submit a 2 or 3 page essay on their views of cloud communications. And we've got some really great writers who've put forth stuff, put them all together in an ebook called Cloud Communications State of the Art. And the idea behind it was multifold. One of them was, when you go to a show, a lot of content you miss because you're not in the room, or people talk about something, you don't hear it. So we wanted to have something which is more permanent, something that people could go back to and reference. So that's part of the ebook. And the second thing that we thought would be really nice is, part of the thing with cloud communications is most of the solutions and applications are done by smaller places and more individuals and thought leaders. So we thought it would be nice to do this ebook, and it's free. Anyone can come get it. To let those smaller voices be heard by a larger audience. So we took those 15 or 20 essays, put them together. And it's really a nice resource for understanding what the state of the art for cloud communications is today from the best guys I know of in the field.
That's fantastic. And so that's, I don't know what more you can do for someone than to provide that free information, allowing them to really be up to date on everything they need to know.
Sure. That's right.
And if they do want to take the next step, there are other things that your company provides as well, right? Training classes and things like that.
Exactly right. So part of what we've found is that Light and Electric sits between two very disparate worlds, the web world and the communications world. And put it in a nutshell, the communications guys tend not to understand the most modern web technologies.
Sure.
They don't understand web as platform programming or the EC2 work or REST or any of these really interesting sorts of web technologies. So we run one workshop where we help communications engineers understand what the web technologies are so that they can either design to be used by them or design with them. So that's one part of our work. The other part of our work is exactly opposite. So there are 10 times more web programmers than there are communications engineers, probably more than that. And because telephony and communications, messaging, et cetera, was so hard for such a long time, web engineers tend not to think of these components as being part of their solutions.
Right.
So what we do is we teach the web programmers what's available to them from communications technologies.
Right.
The whole cloud communications push, the APIs that are being done by the large carriers, the APIs that are being done by some of the text messaging guys, and even the open handset work, like for iPhones and Androids, are all really great pieces that could make an application much, much better. So we teach a second one to help the web guys understand communications, and that's our approach.
It seems to me that second course is unbelievable because there are so many companies vying for attention with web applications and just pumping these out day after day after day, and it's tough to keep track of them all. But the ones that provide a unique value that are different than the others are usually the ones that have the higher likelihood of success.
Oh, yeah, when there's not only differentiation, which is absolutely true, but it's also lowering friction. One of the reasons why Twitter has done very well is that they were one of the first companies to really effectively blend web communication and phone communication.
Right, that's true.
You know, it's very easy. If there's a universal interface to human beings, it's the phone.
Right.
It's the only thing that we all carry.
Right.
And it's all discoverable, and we're used to doing that. And I'm not even talking about smartphones. I'm talking about just regular old phones.
Right.
And you know, by being able to communicate to people through normal phones, allows application designers to really make information more immediate or more timely, or to anybody who may not be in front of a web browser. So there's all kinds of ways you can use it. It's very, very exciting.
Well, that's great. So we should probably mention also that aside from the book that your company has put out and also the training classes that our companies are working together on a Cloud Communication Summit that you mentioned.
That's right.
That's October 4th through 6th in LA. So, and people can just come to itexpo.com and that's an easy way to get to
the Cloud Communication Summit, and go to lightenelectric.com for the ebook.
And for your training classes.
And for the training classes as well.
Right.
And you know, we're going to make it a tradition that every Cloud Communication Summit will have a new ebook by the speakers and by a few selected people who couldn't be there. So we're going to try to keep up with it to make sure that there's a authoritative source on what the state of the art looks like for cloud communication.
And this seems like, there's a lot of money to be made. So we should probably emphasize to everyone that's thinking about coming to these courses that there's cost savings, there's revenue production from some of these apps.
It is, without exaggeration, in my 20-some-odd year career in communications, it's the biggest pot of money I've ever seen at every level. It's just really amazing, the business cases that I've seen in ways in which I never would have expected. You want to hear things that you didn't think you could do with phones, the outcome is really...
And that's coming from someone I consider I think you're as experienced, or one of the most experienced people I know in telecom, having worked for large companies, small companies, and really you've spanned every sector of the market in your career, haven't you?
Most of them, yeah. And you know what? And what is amazing to me is I would say I know about 5% of what there is to know. And I'll never know even 10%. And it's such a large market that...
because of the confluence of the information technology, the internet, right? You're thinking about Ethernet. You've got all these. You've got technologies of transport. You've got technologies up the stack.
Oh, worse than that. Yeah, is that and then when you cross correlate them with any vertical, like how are phones best used to manage sick patients?
Right.
How are phones best used to deliver a package?
Right.
How are phones best used to avoid credit card fraud, or billing, or logistics, or healthcare, or government, or military? It's such a large intersection.
CRM is just, we talk about CRM all the time, but I think there's infinite opportunities for companies to provide better service via text messaging on things that are going on with your order, et cetera, right?
Yeah, the real deficit used to be technology.
Right.
Now it's imagination. Really, the deficits that we try to get over are we can do anything now almost, but what should we do? It's the imagination deficit that we're trying to really work on, and there's just so much to know. It is, and which I will say is one of the most exciting things about cloud communications, because it allows you to partner with people who you never thought you could partner with before. I'm doing a lot of work in the medical field. I never thought I'd be doing that.
Right.
But with APIs and web-based platform stuff, you can actually approach that in a cost-effective way. It's very, very cool.
So, and it's a win for everybody.
Everybody.
Really great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, thanks for being on the program,
Good
and we're
to be
looking
here.
forward to having you again soon.
Yeah, great. Thank you.